Good morning, students. I hope you are doing well at your home. So today we are going to discuss the gist of the chapter 1 of Beehive. The name of the chapter is The Fun They Had. Yes, right. So as we already discussed this chapter in the class, so what do you think? Who is they here? What is they? The fun they had. Who had fun? Yes, so the students of the past schools, they had fun. So here in this chapter, mainly we will talk about the schools of the future. The difference between the schools of the present and the schools of the future. As you begin the chapter, it's written that Margie wrote about that night in her diary, and what date she mentions? She mentions 17 May 2157. So right now it's 2021. So the story is set in 2157, right? So you can see the time difference between both the times, present and the future. So the story is about the future schools. Let's see what happens. So I'll explain the story, or I'll give you the summary paragraph by paragraph. So in the first paragraph, what do they talk about? So first paragraph majorly deals with the real book. What is the real book? For example, you have these books which are printed on the paper. So for us, these are the normal books. But for the characters, who are the characters in the story? Tommy, who is 13 years old, and Margie, who is 11 years old. So for them, it's not a real book. They have telebooks. So for Margie and Tommy, these are not the books that they read from. They basically read from the telebooks. Yes, the telebooks are the books on the television screen. So they are so habitual of reading from the telebooks that they call it a real book. So it's not a story, it's more about a conversation between the two characters, that is Margie and Tommy. And do remember that this girl Margie, she's writing a diary entry where she is writing all her experiences and all the chats or the conversation that she had with the boy Tommy, that what did they talk about, what did they read about in that particular book. So the second paragraph majorly talks about, first of all, they tell the audience that how the real book was. It was old and crinkly means many folds on the pages. So they talked about that the old books are quite different from the telebooks. So what are the differences between old books, that means the real books, and the telebooks? So the pages of old books are old and crinkly, right? That means the pages are yellow in color and they have many creases on the paper. And the second difference that they noticed was that the words do not move on the pages. The words are still. For example, if you read an ebook, so what happens if you scroll up and down or left or right? So what happens? The word starts moving, right? So same happens on the telebook, but in the real book that doesn't happen. The words are always still. If you are reading page number 6 right now, and if you read page number 6 after some time or after some hours, you will find the same words that were printed earlier. So this is the second difference that Margie and Tommy noticed. Then Tommy talked about the wastage. Okay, he said that these books are the wastage. You read it, you go through it once, and after that you throw it. But in our telebooks, this doesn't happen. The book is saved on the screen and you can download it and you can delete it, but that is not a waste. So he calls these books as a waste, because after reading it or after going through it, you just throw it away. So what do you do after reading a book? You sometimes sell it, or you just keep it away. You don't read it anyway. So that is the waste. And then she asked Tommy that what this book is all about, that Tommy answers that this book is about school. So what was Margie's reaction after listening to this? School? How can somebody write about school? I hate schools, so I'm not going to read this book. So then Margie thinks that how can somebody write about schools? What is there to write about schools? It's so boring. Then Margie always hated school. Why? Why Margie hates school? She hates school because her mechanical teacher. Now, who is mechanical teacher here? Since you're also reading or you're also studying online, so you can relate the story that mechanical teacher here is robotic teachers. Okay, on the screen. So she says that mechanical teacher, she takes test after test, and Margie is performing worse and worse day by day. That's why she hates the school. And she hates, the part that she hates the most was the slot where she has to put her homework and the answer sheets. Okay, for example, you are taking online classes, so how do you submit your work? You put it somewhere, there is a software or there's an application where you submit all the homework and update it. So here also she had to put her homework and test papers through some software or application, and she doesn't like that part. And what happens then when her mother, that means Margie's mother, notices that she's going down and down every day, that she's not scoring good marks, so she sends her to the county inspector. County inspector is the one who is taking care of the teachers, who is taking care of the system, that why this is happening. So what he notices was that her geography sector, that is going little too quick. So to solve the problem, he slows the speed of geography teacher and he fixes it up according to the Margie's level, that means a 10-year-old level. So he mentions that this is not the fault of this little girl, this is the fault of us or perhaps teacher, because the lesson was going little too quick. That's why Margie wasn't able to understand it. So this is how he fixes the problem. Okay, so the problem is that the sector was going too quick, and the solution is he slows it down so that Margie could understand it. And then they talk about the old kind of schools. Now the story, as I already told you, that it is written in 2157, that means in the future. So old schools means the schools that we are going to these days. These are old school for Tommy and Margie. So then they talk about what kind of old schools are. Then Tommy tells her that our school is quite different from the old schools. Earlier, people used to go together, they used to have fun, they used to sit together in the same classroom. Then Margie gets so shocked. How this is possible? How can they go together? Then Tommy explains her that there is a special building where all the children sits together. What is the special building? Our school building. In this, Tommy and Margie, they have school at home only. They have a separate room where they sit and the mechanical teachers comes on the screen and then they study. Okay? Don't you think that's boring? I think so. Because you can't meet your friends, you can't have fun, you can't share your homework, you can't chit chat. So that's sort of boring schools where you are sitting alone and taking classes over there. So then Margie comes to know everything about this old school, and when she comes to know about the old school teachers, when Tommy tells her that earlier the teachers were men. Now she gets really shocked. Teachers were men, but men are not smart enough. Man means human beings, right? Human beings are the teachers, but in this there are robotic teachers, or you can say mechanical teachers. So she couldn't even think about it, that how the man could be a teacher, because according to her, man isn't smart enough to explain the things, or man is not having much knowledge about it. So Then Tommy explains everything to her, that the man is as smart as mechanical teachers. He knows everything. So earlier, teachers used to be a man or a living human being. Then they talk about all the schools and the teachers, and then suddenly when they were talking in the middle, Margie's mother interrupts her. Margie, school. That means it's her school time now. And then Margie says, not yet, Mama. So she says, Margie, now. That means take the class right now. It's time for Tommy too. So then Tommy takes the book and tucks her under arm and goes away. But Margie now is so interested in reading that book that she says, Tommy, can I read this book after some time or after my school? Because why she's getting interested? Because she's finding the differences interesting now, right? That's why she wants to read the book more. And then she sits, and then her mother says, if the little girls learn at the same hours and on the same days, they learn better. I also agree to this point, no? If you learn at the same time, there is a certain routine that you become habitual of following. So that's why you learn it better way. So when she sits, the mechanical teacher is already there on the screen, but Margie's mind was wandering here and there. Her mind was not present in the class. She was thinking about the old students of the past time, or you can say she was thinking about the school of the past time. She's thinking that, oh, what they must be having a lot of fun. They sit together, they talk together, they learn the same things, they can share their homeworks, they can roam around in the school sometimes. So, and see, I am sitting in the room in front of mechanical teacher and I'm just reading and the mechanical teacher is speaking. So her mind was not there. She was thinking about the old schools and the students. The mechanical teacher was teaching her fractions, that if you add 1 upon 2 and 1 upon 4, mechanical teacher is speaking and speaking, but Margie is not at all listening. She's just thinking. And in the last line she says that she was thinking about the fun they had. So this title of the story comes from the last line of the chapter, the fun they had, because when Margie comes to know about the schools that were there in earlier times, that means in the present time, and the students, then she says these lines, I am thinking about the fun they had. That means the fun that you guys have. No? You have fun at your school, because now you can see in online there is a difference between offline and online. When you come physically to the school, you enjoy it more. You interact with your teachers, you interact with your friends as well. But when you are taking classes online, so you can imagine what the situation is. You can imagine the scenario with Tommy and Margie, that how they must be feeling about taking the classes, sitting at home, not going out and not having friends and all. Okay, so just go through the chapter once. We'll discuss more about it, the question and answers of this chapter in the next class. Thank you guys. Bye bye.